Now, I know I've spoken about getting to the next level and really clearly defining what you want for the next year, example. But what does it take to get there? And more broadly, what does it take to begin to gain control of your life? I know many authors speak about this very, very broadly, and really, they you have it floating around. It's like a buzzword. It's sexy to see, but really, what does it actually mean to take control of your life? If I want to tell you, do more and take control of your life, how would you interpret that? Let's break that down. Now, in taking your power back, one, you have to look at where your influences come from and how you think. And for those of you listening, what you're thinking is not really a sole reflection of you uniquely. In other words, if you were to take a week away from all media, most people, it will take that long for them to really begin to think on their own or to really have original thoughts, why they don't remember the show from last night. They don't remember what Trump said. They don't remember what somebody did that was wrong, what was shocking on the media. We're so absorbed in other people's lifestyles. Yet it is why it's so hard to detach and really have a unique perspective. And by extension, technology has such a strong hold on us that we do not realize it. I'm sure some of you have done social media detoxes. I'm sure some of you are entrepreneurs and you are disciplined within your businesses. So you have a keen idea of what it's like to actually detach and really focus. But as a lifestyle, how many of you have really taken the time to consciously decide and limit how much of it that you take in? And how many of you have actually thought of how much your world perception is affected by what you see, what you interact with, and really what you let into your world? Okay. Now, the other thing here is that you have to adopt the mindset of taking whole responsibility for your life. Yes, not everything you can control. Yes, not everything is under your direct influence. However, it is only by taking 100% responsibility that you have close to 100% control, right? Some of you have businesses. Why are you in business for yourself? It's because of one, the job market, the job structure doesn't resonate with you as much. And secondly, most people I'm sure can relate, they have a stronger sense of control, stronger desire to influence more, to be more, to make more, to have more control over their lives. And by extension, you have to adopt the mentality where you actually let go. You consciously let go of all the excuses that you make. Now, I have a wonderful blog post on this that I actually forgot to link in here. I may put it afterwards. But really, you need to attempt to identify the areas within your life that you always have a reason that something doesn't go well. It could be with your spouse, it could be with your significant other, it could be with your children. And yes, you don't always have direct control over everything. But it's only when you think in terms of solutions can you only become solution oriented. And such change really comes from what you think, what you choose to let in, and how you actually approach life. So it has to be more of a lifestyle change. And that is where you need to ensure that you have this mentality across all areas of your actual living. Now, the other point here is that you need to control your what you consume, not just your environment, like I mentioned in the first point, but what you really take in, your diet, and really how various things you consume affect you. Let me be more specific. So one, I mentioned your diet. Secondly, the water that you drink. I could spend hours going on nutritionally how fluoride and how chlorine affects you, but many of you already know this. But you need to realize that it is the accumulation of many habits that put you in your current circumstance. And water is just a slight example. You need to really look at your environment digitally as well. And not only you need to look at what you consume, or you need to look at what is fed at you as well. And it is very important that you really be conscious of it. Okay? Very, very important. Now let me move a little faster. Another angle of this is humility. And I know the way I speak, it seems like you have to be so perfect. I could tell you, to serve those that helps, the best in the world are not always perfect. The best in the world have bad days. And you have to realize that it's okay to have a bad day as well. You're human. And in as much as we seek to improve, in as much as we're in a mastermind like this, we strive to take our lives, our businesses to the next level. You have to ensure that you cut yourself some slack and you're not always too hard on yourself. And you allow yourself to bounce back when things don't go as well. That compassion will really be what allows you to take yourself, it will really be what allows you take yourself throughout the ups and downs as you do something new, as you learn a new habit, as you start a new venture, as you make a major transition in your life. Now, when you look at many successful people, one thing you would realize is that they have a certain sense of rebellion in them. And not that I'm asking you to be rebellious, but you must find within you to have the courage to actually go after what you want. And it is easier said than done. But really, you have to really look at what you want, look at the world, look at the things that you deeply desire as problems to solve. And you have to be solution oriented in that you're constantly asking and constantly seeking ways to get there. And again, we all have unique stories, we all have unique circumstances why we cannot get what we want. And really, we really want to push for that. And for me, the lesson here is that it's all about perspective because someone has done it before you. Someone has done some variant of what you're trying to do. And really, we're really just another speck of dust flying around, you know? And I hate to sound pessimistic, but we have to realize that we're not as special as we believe we are. And bringing that guard down allows us to really seek answers, seek others who have done it. And that in itself empowers us. Now, fear. We all feel scared. We all feel this angst to really go after what we want. We all feel this discomfort that swells up in us to really do the things that we know that we should do. And that feeling is normal. However, there are times you really have to work through it. Brian Tracy says that the best in the world do what they have to do when they have to do it, whether they feel like it or not. Of course, that is the hallmark of discipline. And one other thing I want to point here is that fear is not always bad. I mean, on a more primordial level, we need fear to stay alive. Fear keeps us alive. Fear keeps us safe. However, we need to learn how to consciously distinguish this rational fear, this deep fear that we have, and also the goals that we have. Because as we become more civilized, Many of these deep primordial fears that we have, we internally attempt to replicate them in the world that we live in. Now, to be more specific, sure, there is lots of crime around. However, most of us don't walk around fearing that we'll be killed. And the bad thing about this is that we subconsciously project those fears onto our desires, onto our successes as well. And you need to ensure that you have various tools, techniques, strategies, or just sheer willpower to move through major obstacles when they come, because they will. And basically, what I'm saying is that despite not always feeling like it, despite it not always feeling right, you have to ensure that your activities retrain your subconscious to really be, to really do, first of all, what is it that is required to get your goals, and really to really become that person. And really, the core trick here is that it is not about what we do, it's about what we are becoming. And that is why certain habits have such a strong on us. There's a quote that goes that there's a quote that goes like this: the chains of habit are too strong to be felt until they're too weak to be broken. And these habits are what really programs us subconsciously. Our subconscious urges are way more powerful than any tip strategy that you could consciously put into action. Even on this call, as we're about to go through some particular exercises, unless you're willing to put in the time to really change how you internalize your growth, how you internalize change, until you take the time to really understand that one, it will take time, it will take effort. Yes, there are certain techniques that will get you there quicker, but unless you personally change, unless you personally commit to being a different person, permanent change will never happen. Remember that. So before I go into specific action steps, I want to really preface this with the fact that no one tip, technique, or strategy really will perfectly work for you. And it won't work. It's like the extra 10%. But the extra 70%, like this iceberg demonstrates, is really the person that you're becoming, the new habits that you're forming willfully, and you sustaining this. Now, one thing that I've found to really help others, and especially those who are not proponents of meditation, is using to build willpower. Now, as we know, our willpower throughout the day, throughout a normal day, is finite, and basically, we're not as enthused to tackle the most difficult tasks throughout the day. Some of us are morning people, we're night people, we're more energetic towards those times. So generally, our willpower will be higher at those particular times. Now, what meditation does, and it's very simple, really, is done consistently. It helps train this discipline muscle because you have to control your thinking. Of course, there are many different kinds of meditation, but you're still focused. Whatever time that you choose, it still helps you focus for some moments, and this builds up discipline over time. So, more practically, if you don't have much time, you could try doing for at least 5 minutes during the day. Now, 5 minutes may not seem like a lot of time, but compounded over a year, you may get immense benefits, not to mention the health benefits, but your actual discipline and willpower throughout the day will grow. Very simple, but very effective. And another thing you could do is to really have a journal or a log. You could track it digitally. There are many apps for this as well, where you really simply check how many days of the week that you've done it. Simple, but very, very effective. Next, you need to have the ability to focus on what you actually want in life. Many of us subconsciously, naturally focus on what we don't want. And our minds are biased towards negativity. I get that. But that is something you have to train out of you. That is something you have to really ensure that you don't let eat at you, because it will. And especially in a negative environment, people, it will be even more insidious. And you have to constantly look at what you want and look at what it will take to get there. And you looking at this all the time means that you have it clearly laid out and you focus on it regularly. Again, your inner world, like what Proctor says, is most typically a reflection of your outer world. And it might not sound logical, but really, our actions, our thoughts, what we have, one manifests the other. And I don't mean to sound rude, that's not really the direction I'm taking it, but really, you have to understand that you consciously are responsible for everything that happens.